Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Nina and this is my first YouTube video, and I wanted to start a series of videos on Wicca because I think that it's great to have a multiplicity of resources about Wicca, and I thought I'd just add one more perspective onto the YouTube community. So this first video I want to focus a lot about what Wicca is and what Wicca isn't, at least in the popular sense. So where Wicca comes from, let's talk about that. Wicca is a neo-pagan tradition, and it comes from a lot of ancient traditions, and it's sort of reconstructed in that way. So it's based a lot on Celtic traditions, on Greek and Roman traditions, on Hindu traditions. There's a lot of different pantheons and ways of practicing Wicca, which is, I think, one of its strengths, is that it's highly flexible and it really works with the practitioner to make the experience as meaningful and connecting for you as possible. So that's one of the great things about Wicca. One of the things that Wicca is not is Satan worship. A lot of people seem to think that that's what Wicca is about, but to be clear, Satan is a Christian concept. Wiccans do not believe in Satan, so it seems absurd to suggest that we worship a being that we don't believe exists. Generally, Wiccans don't really subscribe to a lot of this talk of good and evil that a lot of religions do. Mostly we revere nature and the flow of nature, and nature can be cruel and it can also be benevolent, and it's not necessarily good or evil, it is just balanced. So there is a light side and a dark side to everything we believe, but it's not necessarily discussed in the terms of good and evil in the way that most people understand it. I also want to address some of the issues with magic in popular culture, such as films and TV shows. Magic is not all the pop and bang that it seems to be in a lot of these movies. Magic is very natural and it's very practical. A lot of it is just transferring your will through your mind or through objects. It's not really all the glitz and fiery light shows that it seems to be seen as in movies. And also I want to address this whole bloodletting thing. It seems like in a lot of TV shows and in a lot of movies there's Wiccans who are all sitting in the circle and they're like cutting themselves open and bleeding all over the place. Wiccans don't do this, at least not modern day Wiccans. It may have been a tradition in ancient times, but then again, in ancient times people did a lot of really crude and cruel barbarian things, so I don't think that that's something to judge modern Wiccans by, and I don't think that people would judge anything modern by those days. So just to be clear, there's no bloodletting or anything like that. So now that we've talked a little bit about what Wicca is not, I'd like to talk about some of the basic beliefs. Wiccans believe that the divine is immanent, which means that the divine is here on earth. A lot of people believe that God is like, I don't know, sitting on a cloud somewhere and just like chilling out, but Wiccans believe that God is in you, in me, in the plants, in trees, in nature. So all life and all nature is sacred and must be treated with respect. And so again, there's this very strong respect and morality about nature that is central to our beliefs. Also, magic is only supposed to be used in concert with nature. You're not supposed to try to manipulate it. I think that people think that. A lot of people seem to think that, Wiccans have nothing better to do than to like cast curses and evil spells on people. That's not something that any self-respecting Wiccan actually does. Wiccans believe in a threefold law of karma, which basically says that what you do comes back to you 3 times. So if you do something bad to somebody else, that negative energy comes back to you in some way or form. So again, we're not evil people out to, hurt anybody. We just practice our religion and we use magic as a way of creating positive change and we do it with nature. We use these natural flux and change of nature in order to make positive changes in our own lives. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about how Wiccans are organized. So some Wiccans follow a coven, which basically means a group of Wiccans who come together to practice. And there is a hierarchy to these covens. Usually there is a high priestess, possibly a high priest involved, where they guide the group, and there are several degrees of Wiccans or witches below them, first or second degree, etc., etc. And basically they study together, they do magic together, and learn from each other. And your status as a Wiccan is conferred by Wiccans who have been dedicated, and it's all sort of the hierarchical view of Wicca. Some Wiccans believe that you're not a true witch unless you are recognized by a coven, but personally I don't take this view. I think that you can be a Wiccan who practices solitary, which is the other way of practicing Wicca. I practiced solitary for a very long time. Even now I don't belong to a coven. I sort of belong to a circle of Wiccans who practice together just to learn from each other. So there's nothing wrong with being a solitary witch. You learn on your own, and it's important to discover your own values, but you should also talk to other Wiccans, and that's the other thing too, is that Wicca is about learning. You study, 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 you read good books, bad books, all kinds of resources, and learn all kinds of practices, because there is never a point in Wicca where you know everything. It is a religion where you really need to study and be aware and practice and try new things in order to know what works for you and what doesn't. So that's the other thing I like about it. You can't be a lazy Wiccan. You really got to work at it. There's also crafting in Wicca. So you do things like make candles or make incenses or oils. I really love this part of Wicca. I find crafting very therapeutic. I sew, I bake, I do all these things, and a lot of it is, part of my Wiccan self as well. I sell these things online, of course, and I do this because I feel that crafting and learning how to make things with your hands and infusing your will into it is really important. So that's the other aspect of Wicca that I think some people miss out on, even Wiccans who have been practicing for a long time. There's nothing like good, honest, hard work, and I think that there is a lot to be gained from learning how to do a lot of things yourself. There are a lot of other practices as well. There's visualization and meditation and all kinds of other neat stuff like that, which we will talk about in future videos. We'll also talk more about belief structures and gods and all that stuff. But for now, I think this is a good introduction. Thank you guys for sticking around and listening this far, and I hope to post another video soon. Bye! Blessed be!